Well, it's hard to believe we've reached the end of another working week. It has been a busy week here at Vogan Weather. We've been looking at Hurricane Milton making landfall in Florida. We've been talking about flooding in parts of the UK, Europe. We've been looking at some fairly cold air driving south over the British Isles as well during the course of this week. And it looks as if we are going to see change as we move towards next week as well. Thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It is the 11th of October. We're approaching the middle portions of the month. So far, it has been slightly below average. We've had a negative Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation, but it looks as if we are going to see a return to something a little bit more zonal as we move into the middle portions of next week in particular. Upcoming live stream will be at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. We will have a tropical outlook tomorrow, so Saturday tropical outlook, and then we will look at all things global during the live stream this upcoming Sunday evening at 7:30 p.m. I will leave a link in the description below today's video for that on Sunday. Hope you can join me for that. It is a very enjoyable experience. I did the first midweek live stream. It was a late one, 11:30 till 12:30 a.m. back on Wednesday, looking at the landfall of Hurricane Milton. It was a good one. I was quite surprised. We had over 40 concurrent viewers for that, and a lot showed up actually, considering the late hour that I did the live. That is the benefit of working night shift. I'm up and about through the course of the night, and was able to kind of follow the progress of Milton as it moved ashore, with obviously devastating impact on Florida. So anyway, let's see what's happening. The latest, this is the Northern Hemisphere snow and ice cover, so you can see that we are starting to see an increase in snow cover across the Northern Hemisphere, particularly so over the Asia side as opposed to North America. It looks as if we've got a lack of snow across the far north of North America. You would expect to see it this time now. Alaska, but turning a little bit wider, especially the northern areas of Canada as well. It looks as if it's fairly sparse in terms of snow, but we are getting there with regards to Siberian snow cover. And over the next couple of weeks here, we are going to see that the snow cover increase quite dramatically. This is off the GFS model, showing the increase in snow cover a little bit over North America, but especially across parts of the Eurasia side. Even Scandinavia is starting to see some snow cover. A little bit hard to see, I appreciate that, but nonetheless, you can see as we play through all the way towards the very end of October, you would expect to see the snow cover expanding across the northern hemisphere. This is the current temperature anomalies for the month to date. So you can see that it is slightly below average to below average across the UK, slightly warmer than average across parts of Central Ireland, average across Northern Ireland, as you can see. Also, Northern Scandinavia running below average through this is actually Thursday, the 10th of October. So, moving forward, this was, by the way, of, bear with me a second here, interesting stuff. Some record-breaking warmth across many areas of central and western United States. We also did see some cold records appearing across parts of Western Europe as that Arctic air dove south. And I would imagine that this coolweather.com, so it's coolwx.com, that's where I got this graphic from, showing records or near record-breaking temperatures across the planet. And you can see that for the UK in particular, if you look at the United States, lots of heat records to speak about during Thursday the 10th. And for the UK in particular, we've seen Ireland, a couple of stations here dropping down to 2 Celsius, so near a daily record. And also Shannon Airport dropping to 4 Celsius, a near record as well. Up into the Faroe Isles, we did see temperatures drop close to record-breaking levels, and there was, I believe, an oil platform over the Norwegian Sea that also seen some near record-breaking temperatures. So anyway, looking at the MJO, we continue to see it rotating back towards phases 4 and 5, and if you look at the upper chart here of the GFS, you can see that we are going to start to change the shape of the pattern. And we're going to start to see lower heights up towards the Arctic, higher pressure across the middle altitude pattern, and that is very indicative of a phase 4 or 5 of the MJO. So if you look at this chart here in particular, we have got a strong pulse of upward motion over the Indian Ocean, sinking over the Central and East Pacific into the Americas, into the Atlantic Basin. That is very much a phase 2 and 3 of the MJO, but if we go into the following week, you can see it progresses towards the maritime continent here. So therefore, there would be no real surprise the fact that if you look at this northern hemispheric view of the upcoming 5-day period, we're starting to see the pressure reduce over the Baffin Straits and over Greenland. Also over the Arctic, we still have that negative look over the next 5 days, but if we then skip to the 6 to 10 day, you start to see that heights are lowering over the North Atlantic up towards Greenland and even up towards the North American side of the Arctic. And then the 11 to 15 day, you can see further still, we're seeing that more neutral to positive look in the negative in the North Atlantic Oscillation here. So you can see positive heights over North America, positive heights over Europe here. That would be quite a mild overall setup here. Looking at the UK, or should I say Europe in particular, and for that same time frame, you can see quite strong positives over the continent here. Go back to the here and now, and you can see the negatives replaced by region, and that is very much driven by this eastward movement of the MJO through the maritime continent over the next week to 10 days or so. Looking at the temperature anomalies here, upcoming 5 days, still below average, firmly below average at that across the UK, Ireland and near continent up towards Scandinavia. So this takes us out to Tuesday the 15th. Then into the 6 to 10 day, we turn things around. Look at that there, we're going above average. Then the 11 to 15 day, we're going above average still. Now, I want to draw your attention to this here. If we go back to the vertical velocity chart here, you can see that by the time we reach, this is week 2 and 3. So this is taking us out towards the end of October. As we play through into the following week, you notice here that we're starting to see the greens push into the West Pacific Basin. That would be representative of the MJO likely heading back towards phases 7, 8 and 1. Now that's off the CFSV2. Let's look at the GFS ensemble. And this is the period between the 13th and the 20th. So it's moving into the maritime continent, and therefore it coincides very nicely with the 6 to 10 and the 11 to 15 in terms of warmer than average temperatures. So there's no coincidence here that the MJO is moving back into the warm phases. We're losing the positive in terms of the negative North Atlantic Oscillation, Arctic Oscillation. It's changing. But therefore, if we go back and see the progress eastwards, if we go back to the slightly later run, play through this loop, you can see it's moving back into the West Pacific here. And if we look at the longer range models here, let's have a look and see the global view here, and let's have a look at the longer term models. So let's look at the GFS extended here and see what it's indicating. So let's go to the 7-day increments. So as you can see, we're starting to see the negatives move over towards the North Atlantic and Greenland. Positives, North America, Western Europe here, mild situation overall. And that ridge then builds into the eastern half of North America, western areas of Europe, big negative over the North Atlantic and Greenland. That is your textbook phase 4 or 5 of the MJO. Now, I want to play through this loop here. So this is off the GFS extended, and watch what happens as we go towards the early and mid portions of November. You notice that we start to see heights building. Yes, it's showing over the UK and over Ireland here, but notice we're starting to see the positives build back towards Greenland once again. Let's have a look at the ECMWF weeklies and see what it's indicating. Back to the here now, play through the loop. keeping in mind what's going on within the tropics of the Indian Ocean and the West Pacific. And then we'll start to see the heights building back towards where they've already been. So this is a pattern that we've seen repeat. We've seen it in September. We're seeing it in October. We're likely to see it back in November again. And it would not surprise me if we see it return once again during the month of December. So this is me building that long-range case. Let's look at the temperature anomalies here of the ECM weeklies as well and see what it's indicating. So the day, this is the period, day 23 through 30. This is the 2nd to the 9th of November. And look at the cold anomaly over the UK and Western Europe in particular. So this is interesting stuff here. Forget about the polar vortex at the moment here. We know that the polar vortex is going to start to strengthen. We're losing the blocking at the moment, but we've seen this pattern repeat 2 or 3 times already, and we're likely to see it in November, likely to see it beyond that as well here. So very interesting things going on at the moment here, and I would encourage you, if you're a lover of all things weather, wanting to know the background behind the pattern, even before the models show it, I'm showing you the reasoning behind why I think a certain type of weather pattern is wanting to develop. So this is the ECM extended. Let's look back at the GFS extended and see if it is seeing the same thing out of interest. And look, so the day 24 through 31, below average UK and Ireland here. Granted, it is showing warmer across eastern areas of Europe, but this here is showing the same kind of thing. And an interesting tweet, actually, that I want to show you by, I say Eagle, I hope it is the right pronunciation, but the latest tweet there from this person is very interesting indeed. I quite like their tweets. I've only kind of recently jumped on board with this person here in terms of their interest in information. But look at this here. Look at what it says. As a result of a more and more amplified MJO, ECM Weekly is now showing again a strong, sustained negative NAO blocking over the North Atlantic throughout November, and align with today's analysis favouring a negative NAO in the early November, at least 1 to 2. So you can see here that the modelling is indicating the rotation back into the West Pacific. This is the 500 millibar weekly anomalies here of the ECMWF, showing what is looking interesting Monday the 20th of October through Monday the 4th of November. And then this is the period between the 4th and the 11th. You can see here it's returning back to that block. And that is very, very nicely coinciding with this here, that MJO moving back into the West Pacific. I want to finish here by showing you this. This is interesting. This is the wake of Hurricane Kirk. This is the 7-day change in the North Atlantic sea surface temperatures. So you can see here the upwelling of colder waters from below, indicative of the passage of Kirk. So this is the 7-day change, and this is how it's looking now. This is the current SST anomalies, and you can see this ribbon of below average where Kirk crossed the central tropical and subtropical portions of the Atlantic. We've still got a lot of heat, if you notice here, across the North Atlantic, Northwestern Atlantic in particular. So it'll be interesting to see how this SST profile changes as we go forward. You also notice in the 7-day change that we've cooled in the Gulf of Mexico and off the east coast of Florida as well, probably indicative of Milton in recent days as well. So anyway, keep it right here on Marv Vogan Weather on YouTube, Tropical Outlook tomorrow, and then the live stream 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. Link in the description below today's video. Stay tuned for that, and have a great weekend ahead, folks. Bye-bye.